In a sense, the Christian life is hard. But the amazing thing is that salvation is the easiest thing on the planet. Because salvation is, imagine that you have an infinite thirst. And God reaches into his infinite pocket and pulls out an infinite amount of water and says, drink up. So it's amazing that salvation truly is the easiest thing in the world because it's a gift of God and God just gives it to whomever he will. So it doesn't take any effort to be saved. However, after the fact, and even before you get saved, you still strive. There's still problems and strivings, but the act of salvation is effortless. And after the fact, it's still difficult. Prayer is difficult. At least for me it is. It's really easy to tell the Lord the way you want it to be, and he'll say, no, Cody. And it's instinctive to go to the Lord and tell him the way you want things to be. It's almost instinctive. Say, Lord, here's what I want. And but my point is, even though there's difficulty in the Christian life, because I'm telling you there is, the easiest part, in a sense, is the most important part. Because the easiest part is salvation. Because God just says, here. I mean, like I say, he reaches his infinite hand into his infinite pocket, pulls out an infinite amount of water, and satisfies your infinite thirst just because he's gracious enough to do that. Here you go. You didn't even know you were thirsty, did you? No, I didn't, Lord. Well, guess what? Now you're filled. So salvation truly is the easiest thing in the world because he just says, here you go. Oh, so that's what it means to be saved. That's what this is. Yeah. And then after you're saved, there's still trouble, there's still difficulty, but you know that the most important thing is already taken care of, and it's just a matter of God working out the details in you and in the world, which he will, but it's real easy to be short-sighted. It's very easy to be short-sighted. But my point that I was trying to make is that salvation truly is the easiest thing in the world because God just says, here you go. I've appointed you to it. I've called you to it. Here, I'm going to give you the faith by grace. Here you go. Now you have salvation. You have eternal salvation. It's the most miraculous, truly the easiest thing in the world. God's almighty power, it doesn't require any effort. Now you might say, well, he calls us to use effort. He calls us to work. Granted. However, when God moves, it's effortless. You say, Cody, what are you talking about? Because God's almighty. He doesn't have to work or strive. Now, granted, when he was in the flesh, he had every bit. He was fully man. He was fully man. He sweated. He hungered. He was tired, but he could still perform miracles, but he was still fully human. And if it wasn't for that, it would be almost impossible it would just be very difficult to have a God that did not become fully man. It would be very difficult. Thankfully he did. That was the divine plan in the scriptures, in his will. That thankfully he knows what it's like to be human. So thankfully we have a God that we can relate to. He's our great high priest, our intercessor. He knows what it's like to be human, and that's a great blessing that we have a high priest who's able to relate to us. That's truly a great blessing. So I just wanted to say that really salvation is a miracle, and the moment of salvation, really is effortless. God just says, here. He just pulls into his pocket an infinite amount of water and satisfies your infinite thirst. He just says, here you go. And I just wanted to comment on that. Even though there's still difficulties, salvation itself truly is the easiest thing in the world. It's effortless. Here you go. Here, watch what I can do. You didn't even know you were thirsty. You thought you were satisfied. You thought that you thought you had everything you wanted until I showed you what I have to offer. And here you go. It's really amazing.